Last year, a major consulting firm replaced 300 junior analysts with a single AI system. These analysts had degrees, they had experience, their performance reviews were great, and they had absolutely no idea it was coming. But here's the part that nobody talks about. The company wasn't going bankrupt. It wasn't downsizing in a crisis. It simply found a more efficient way to get the same result. And the humans who produced that result became optional. This isn't a warning about the future. It's a description of what is already happening. By the end of this video, you'll understand why job security is the most dangerous myth the system ever sold you, and what the people who saw this coming are doing differently. Let's start with what job security actually means to most people. It means a steady paycheck, a contract, a job title with a clear ladder to climb, health insurance tied to your employment, a pension waiting for you after 30 years. It's the feeling of knowing that if you show up tomorrow, you'll still have a place to go. That feeling, that specific feeling of being needed by an institution, is what people are really protecting. But it's just a feeling, not a fact. Because institutions don't need people. Institutions need output. For most of history, people were the only way to get that output. That is no longer true. The arrangement was always a transaction. You produce value, the institution captures it, and they pay you a fraction of it. The moment a cheaper or more efficient source of that same value appears, the transaction changes. What's different now is the speed at which that alternative source has arrived. AI didn't show up as a robot taking over a desk. It arrived as software that does the thinking work, the analysis, the writing, the coding, the design, the customer support faster, cheaper, and without needing benefits, sick days, or performance reviews. Most people inside the system had no way to see this coming, because the myth of job security told them that if they just kept performing well, the institution would keep them. The myth never accounted for the possibility that performance itself could be automated. Before AI became the main topic of conversation, remote work had already started cracking the foundation of this myth. Quietly, in a way most people missed. When the world shifted to remote work in 2020, something unexpected happened. Productivity, in most fields, stayed the same or even increased. People were doing the exact same work from home. The office, the physical building, the commute, all of it turned out to be mostly irrelevant to the actual output. And companies noticed if the work can be done from a home in the same city, it can be done from a home in another country. And if it can be done in another country, it can be done for a fraction of the cost. The physical presence that once made employees feel irreplaceable turned out to be just for show. Presence was never value. It just felt like value because it was visible. But visibility and value are not the same thing. This is the lesson remote work taught us. And most employees drew the wrong conclusion. They celebrated the flexibility, the mornings without a commute, the freedom of a home office. What they missed was the signal underneath it all. The institution had just discovered that your physical presence was optional, and optional things have a way of getting eliminated. What remote work proved AI is now completing. If your presence is optional, and your mental output can be automated, what exactly is your job title protecting? Here's what makes this moment different from every previous technological disruption. In the past, big shifts like the Industrial Revolution or the rise of computers displaced certain types of work, but also created new ones. The end result, over decades, was more jobs, not fewer. So people learned to believe that technology always creates more than it destroys. But that historical pattern is no longer a reliable guide. Previous technologies automated physical tasks. Machines replaced muscle. Humans responded by moving up into cognitive work analyses, creativity, management, design. That cognitive layer felt safe because machines couldn't think. But AI automates the cognitive layer. For the first time, the strategy of moving up into higher level work has a ceiling that is visible and approaching much faster than anyone is prepared for. The very tasks that were supposed to be our safe refuge, writing, analysis, research, customer service, coding, design, are precisely the tasks that AI is already performing. This doesn't mean all jobs will disappear tomorrow. It means the definition of what makes a human economically valuable is changing faster than our education system, our employment system, or our entire culture can adapt. The people who will be fine are not the ones with the most secure-feeling jobs today. They are the ones who stopped depending on institutions to define their value and started building things that grow on their own, whether or not a company decides to keep them. When people face this new reality, they tend to respond in one of three ways. The first is denial. They think, my job is fine. The company values me. It's just hype. This has happened before, and it always worked out. This feels rational because it's based on history, but it's like applying 19th century logic to a 21st century problem. The second response is panic. Quit everything. Learn to code. Become an AI prompt engineer. This response mistakes urgency for direction. Most people who panic pivot just end up in a different version of the same dependency, trading one institution for another without ever changing the underlying problem. The third response is the one that actually works. It doesn't require quitting your job tomorrow. It doesn't require predicting the future perfectly. It just requires one shift in your thinking. Stop building your financial life around what an institution decides your output is worth, and start building things that generate value independently. This isn't a new idea. It's an old idea that has suddenly become urgent. The people who understood assets and independent value creation before AI were already in a better position. I didn't create the right strategy, it just made the wrong one. Impossible to ignore. So let's make this concrete. If your job's primary output is cognitive analysis, writing, communication, design, some part of that work is already being done faster and cheaper by AI somewhere in your industry. Your employer might not have deployed it yet, but they know it exists. The question isn't whether your role will be affected. The question is when, and whether you will have built something independent by the time it happens. The people who are worried about this share one characteristic. They have built economic value that doesn't depend on a single employer. They have an audience that trusts them, a skill that can scale, a product that exists outside of any job, a system that generates returns while they sleep. They didn't all do this because of AI. Most of them did it because they understood a simple truth. Depending on one company for your entire financial life is fragile, no matter what. AI just made that fragility impossible to deny. The job isn't the enemy. The dependency is. And that dependency ends the moment you start building something that belongs to you, even slowly, even imperfectly, even while you're still employed. Now, for the uncomfortable part, the window for building that alternative isn't infinite. Once the core tasks that define your role become fully automated, the market value of your human output disappears. The time to build leverage is now, while you still have a salary to fund it and a market position to learn from. Most people will wait until the urgency is undeniable, until the layoff happens, until the restructuring email arrives. They'll wait until their role is eliminated and they're starting from zero. The people building now aren't doing it because they're certain about the future. They're doing it because they understand that the cost of being wrong is low, but the cost of being right and unprepared is everything. So the question this video leaves you with is not, is your job at risk from it? The real question is, what are you building that doesn't need your employer's permission to exist? Because the job security myth is exactly that, a myth. Real security has never come from an institution's promise. It has always come from the value you can create on your own. And that is something no algorithm can automate. Not yet. In the next video, we're really going to talk about how to build your exit strategy while you're still inside the system without quitting tomorrow, without a dramatic pivot, and without anyone at work even noticing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.